Hello and welcome back to this edition of Daily Active brought to you by Bootleg Macro. I am Dustin. Happy Halloween to those who celebrate. We are going to be taking a look at the most active stocks in Yahoo Finance as we do every single day right here. Now you can see the most active stocks today. We have NVIDIA, SMCI. Looks like another bad day for the semiconductors. We got Peloton. I heard they got a new CEO and another big down day for DJT and Snap. So let's just jump right on into it. Now, if you've watched my previous videos, you've definitely seen me go through my model, but I want you to get an idea of exactly what we're going to be looking at. I believe the very first one we're going to be looking at here is going to be NVIDIA, if I do not forget. Now, NVIDIA, one of the most popular stocks in the entire market. This thing continues to be a market leader. But if you look at what we've seen over the past few days here, this thing is down nearly 5% today. It's now down on the rolling 5-day return, and it's now down on the 15-day rolling return. It is now down 1.52% over the past 15 days. And we look at what we have here. One of the things that's most remarkable about what's been happening specifically in NVIDIA is that you see here for the very first part, ooh, I screwed this up a little bit when it comes to what I need to do. Let's go ahead and hide this. We're going to go ahead and the reason why I like to show you when I'm actually making additions or changes to my own individual model is because I think it's important for people to understand. Not only do you have access to the data is free if you know how to use Google Finance. So one of the things that I find to be most fascinating, back to NVIDIA here, is that this thing in pretty much the entire month of October, from the 3rd to the 25th, had either red background with black lettering or red lettering with a white background. Now, the reason why that's significant is because if you look at that in my model, that means that that's 2 to 3 standard deviations above the 23-day moving average. Now, that's important to me, not important to everyone else, but it depends. Depends on what you're looking for. Some people like to buy bottoms, some people like to buy tops, some people buy breakouts, some people buy breakdowns. It really depends on your individual style. Now, my personal style is that I want to be able to buy when the price is within its normal standard distribution range. When you're seeing that green background with the black lettering, those are the best days to buy if you believe that you have a bullish catalyst and or a bullish trend behind you. Now, the concerning thing, if I'm going to be honest in my own model here, is that now we are back below the 23-day moving average. We're currently below the 5-day moving average. We see that volatility, while it looks like it is continuing to rise, has started to slightly fall. And the concerning thing here is that the future price path that I see is now on a price to fall, and it's 2 days in a row back to back. Normally, if you look at any of my indicators, I like to see 2 days in a row of confirming. So one to tell you that you should pay attention, the second day to confirm. I'm seeing now that we've got price to fall, kind of a concern, at least in my opinion. Now, if we're looking at the overall chart, we can see that we've seen quite a top here. Back in June, the very high was at 140. Most recently, the high was around 144. It doesn't necessarily look like we're getting rejected from here, but if we're going to be honest about what range we could go to, we definitely have some places that we could fall to. Now, if we're going to look at what we see in terms of signals in the short term, intermediate term, and longer term, this has been a go long. In the short term, intermediate term, and longer term, this has been a bullish. Now, just like I mentioned in the earlier little piece, I like to see 2 consecutive days of a signal change. So this is where I was looking at a significant amount of bearishness coming into NVIDIA, but it looks like now we've got bullishness in the short term, intermediate term, and longer term as well. We go ahead and look at what we're looking at in terms of the rolling sentiment as well. It looks like we've come off of that peak. In one of my earlier videos this week, I did call out that NVIDIA, at least to me, was showing that it was setting up to be incredibly bullish. I was thinking that we could very much get to those 150 levels. And what the thing I'd say that I like about being here is that not only is NVIDIA in the middle of its range relative to where it is in its 23-day moving average, especially in its probabilistic range, but you're seeing a falling bear and we're back below the 50% when it comes to the trend indicator. Now, this trend indicator right here is really important to me because this indicator generally will not go above 60% and will not go below 40%. The reason why that's important is because the market is a yin and a yang. It is the bullishness, it is the bearishness, it's the buyers, it's the sellers, and it's everyone in between. Now, the important thing that you're looking for if you want to see a catalyst either higher or lower is that it falls into generally kind of like that Zen spot where it's going to be in the mid 50s to 50% exactly, or the high 40s. This gives you a well and a good amount. This gives you a well run, This gives you a really nice runway ahead of you to think about what you could see in terms of where the price could go. Now, if we're going to look at the overall trading signals, something that I would say is slightly negative is that we're seeing one of the bear Q3. We're going to get one of them tomorrow. We're seeing a coming falling bear. We don't see any confirmations of specifically going to be either bulls or bears, breakout, swift bulls. You don't know what any of that means, but it's important to me. The reason why is because look at this. You've got the 1 month trigger bull right here. If we go all the way over to what day that was, we got a 1 month bull trigger on October 1st at $117. This is where NVIDIA was essentially trading at. No one was be paying attention, but again, it was in my lovable range with that green background with the black lettering. And it was continuing from 117 to go all the way up to 141. Did it even hit 150, 143 here on the 21st? These are the type of days that you're looking for, and this is the type of setup that I think that we see potentially here inside of NVIDIA. Now, if we go ahead and look at the overall, just kind of the trade ranges, one of the things that I want to call out, at least that's important to me, is I generally like to see higher highs in the trade range. Now, if I would be honest about what would be concerning here, we're seeing a little bit of rollover in that trade range. We're seeing the bottom start to come up. We're seeing the top start to come down. Now, that's going to be because we're seeing, if I go back to volatility, we're seeing the volatility rollover. This is the volatility of NVIDIA. It's kind of peaking out around 15, which if you think about that is probably the average of what we've seen over the past year. It's starting to roll over. What I want to see as well is I want to see the correlation, which is starting to roll over too. This is very bullish to me. The reason why it's bullish is because if you have negative price correlation and you have rolling over volatility, generally two negatives are going to make a positive. So the price should either go sideways to up, which I think is very, very bullish. And one of the things I also like about NVIDIA, not specifically around today, but just in general, is that you've got falling volatility with this continued bullish move. Because the thing is, if you really study bull markets are going to be generally on low volatility. They're going to be like the stairs up and the escalator down. You don't want to see a humongous move in volume while seeing the price break down. You do want to see a humongous move. You do want to see a big volume move while the price breaks out, especially if it's based on a catalyst like earnings or something like that. But again, if we look at the longer term version of the sentiment indicator here, you can see we're coming right back down to that mid 50s range. I think this is a great catalyst in terms of like it being the end of the month. People need to sell. We're going right into November. If you think about mutual funds, which most of you probably don't because you're probably a retail trader just like myself, but mutual funds, a lot of them will end their year in November. So you'll see a lot of tax loss selling and or the end of the year selling that goes on in November. And that's what we can be entering right into. It gives a lot of great opportunities to start positioning for the next year, 2025, where you at. Now, if we look at the overall chart, again, going back, the high that we saw in June was there. The high that we've seen here in October is there. The question is, are we going to continue to see this extension from what we've seen? You saw the incredible low. Obviously, Nvidia's had a split, so it wasn't actually down at $10 in 2022. Don't we all wish we would have bought it? But if you think about where it is, the move has been quite remarkable and can continue to run. It just depends on if we're going to get a catalyst that comes through. I imagine earnings, I think is about 3 weeks away from now, is going to be a great catalyst. Actually, let's go ahead and confirm exactly what day earnings are here on NVIDIA. I will admit that's one of the best parts of it of Yahoo Finance. Yeah. So earnings are going to be on the 21st of November. You can even see after hours, we're starting to see a little bit of that move. I would have honestly thought you should have bought NVIDIA today. I don't know if I bought any of it today, but if I'm going to go ahead and look at my indicator here. So this little thing that I'm pulling up right now on this Chrome extension, this is actually the most important parts of my actual larger model. I get concerned because I have some fears that I'm going to lose the Google Finance data because it is free and Google doesn't take the best care of it. But what you can see, my love is that the best thing that I'm seeing here is that we're still very bullish and we're getting higher lows in the range. This is what I consider to be consolidation. Now, the top of the range, it looks like we were peaking out around 152, 152, 152, almost 153. We're starting to roll over, but the bottom is still continuing to rise up as that volatility continues to fall. We did see some really big volume today. And it was a down day, but that isn't really a concern to me personally. The reason why is because I'd say if I think about the types of volume that we see on the massive days, 266 million shares traded on NVIDIA. It's not that big of a deal when you think about this thing trades almost 400 million shares in a day sometimes, especially when you're getting these big moves up. But tell me what you think in the comments below. Are you long? Are you short? Do you like it? Do you love it? Is this even a good review? And before you go, subscribe to the New High newsletter. We've got 25 stocks to your inbox every single Sunday. Stocks breaking out between $5 and $20. Stocks breaking out to 1 year highs. Stocks breaking out to all time highs. It's a great list to get your trading week started. I'll talk to you soon.